Welcome to On the Chain. Chip here. It's the last podcast without Jeff. Jeff will be back tomorrow night. Super excited about that. Great to have him back here. Counted up the shows, did 8 shows, this being the 8th show without Jeff. And it's not fun doing it without Jeff. So Jeff will be back tomorrow night. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about some next generation financial innovation. What does that mean? Going to break that down for you. Also, demystifying crypto and AI tech stack. I've been increasingly interested in AI. It pretty much is part of every part of my life. I can get into that in a little bit more detail. But AI is integrated fully into my world, which is great. And then we'll get into election 2024. The election is coming up on November 4th. It is going to heat up a little bit. The last stretch is going to be amazing. Who's ready to get this puppy started? Are you guys ready? I don't hear anything. You guys ready? Let's go. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome down the chain, everybody. And everybody drop where you are coming in from today. Where is it from? I see that Mr. K is in here and had the pleasure of meeting Mr. K in person in Australia at the World of Innovation. It was amazing, a fantastic, phenomenal event that we had there in the Gold Coast. So WOI was fantastic. Looking forward to doing it again next year. What's up? Gary, no Gary, Gary, no Gary, Gary, no Gary, no Gary. BBS. Okay, there you go. So we're going to talk a little bit about some different things today, and then we'll end with some election type stuff. But there's some great stuff going on, and wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys. First off, Ripple put this tweet out here, this post, I should say, on X, and estimates suggest that tokenization could reach 10 trillion by 2030. We got John Page there. Okay, we got Carolyn's in here. What's up, Carolyn? Had the pleasure of meeting Carolyn as well. Man, you guys are awesome. From Brisbane, there we go. You got Australia's in the house, showing up big time. Aussies are in here big time, showing up always. And they're talking about this whole idea of this tokenization reaching a 10 trillion. And honestly, it could actually be bigger than 10 trillion, but that's probably a soft estimate if you think about it. And then crypto exchanges, really, they're talking about the fact that they're going to have to evolve for the digital asset economy, right? And so some ways that they're suggesting that they can adapt would be institutional grade custody solutions. Ripple, check. Efficient cross-border payments. Ripple, check. Unlocking revenue from tokenized accents, check. And then simplified compliance management. And if you know, this is all in the new platform for Ripple. The whole idea of the compliance management, everything under one roof, sort of a one-stop type of shop. And then, reducing those transaction costs, which is always going to be something that you're looking for, right? You want to have those reduced costs. And so just pop over here. This is just a post they put out, but they put out a larger article about how the crypto exchanges can future-proof their financial infrastructure in the digital asset economy. And it's a lot of what you would normally expect. But what they're talking about is the exchanges being able to move and manage digital assets around the world. In order for them to really remain competitive as the industry grows and matures, they have to be able to integrate reliable, compliance-focused cross-border payment along with custody solutions that are going to meet that increasing sophisticated client demands. And of course, satisfy any emerging regulatory guidance. Now, that's a tough thing in the US here with what's going on with the SEC. But again, that's going to all change very soon as well. And it goes on to talk about some of the other key parts, which is the building blocks of moving and managing the value. And it really starts with that custody solution. There's no surprise that Ripple went into the custody hardcore, because in order to have this solution, it's one thing to facilitate software that moves value cross-border, whether it's fiat, whether it's any kind of digital token. That's one thing. But what the big thing is what do you do about the custody solution? So Ripple has really solved this, especially for institutional grade, and this larger part of where this is going to be when you're moving 20, 40, 100, 300, $1 trillion, you better have a serious custody solution. So you have to be able to have those cold storage. You have to be able to figure out what kind of, how many users can be trading on the platform with these services. So they're talking about with Ripple custody, there's a lot of flexibility and really autonomy over deployment. So the exchanges can serve a wider sort of audience, and from those who are looking for maybe short-term or long-term type of solutions. And it really is not going to have anything to do with compromising on the security or compliance side. And then Ripple Payments comes into place here, I should say, as the crypto exchanges offer the streamlined border payments. So they're just kind of like creating this sort of one-stop sort of a shop. And this is where the exchanges are going to be able to take advantage of that via the XRP ledger and the native token XRP to lower those transaction costs, cut compliance costs. And so the other interesting part of this, which isn't really mentioned too much in this article, is the new stablecoin from Ripple called RLUSD. And that's going to be interesting only in the sense that when you think about banks and maybe banks having some sort of doubt when it comes to using a digital token. Now, a stable coin is a stable coin. It doesn't change in value, where you can have that flexibility in a digital token. Now, we also know that XRP is probably one of the most, we would joke and say that it's like a stable coin because it doesn't change in value that much. However, if you're moving, $1 trillion and it changes a few cents, that's a big hit. Now, that's not going to happen with a stable coin. So I feel that the real impetus behind Ripple putting the stable coin out is to appease the banks where they may have had some doubts about using XRP, this digital token, especially with the lawsuit and everything else. But a stable coin and a stable token, it's interesting because there has been some nonpartisan support here in the States, and there's a lot of clear regulation outside of the US when we think about where folks are thinking in terms of how they see the stable coins. And there really is, probably going to be more legislation around stable coins. And the other part of that is most stable coins, not all, but a lot of them are pegged to the US dollar. And with the onset of like BRICS and other, but their currency, I know they were floating a mock-up of their currency and what that looked like. Interesting to see that, because I'm still not sold on the whole BRICS thing. It seems like a lot of smoke and mirrors still waiting for it. Everybody's worried about it. There's going to be a new sheriff in town over here in the US, and things are going to change drastically pretty fast. And I feel like Trump getting in would probably eliminate the Federal Reserve at some point, because when you get rid of the debt instrument that's enslaving people, a lot of magic will happen. He's also talking about the way the U.S. used to fund itself was through tariffs. And a lot of people have said, well, tariffs can't be enough. It can't do it. Well, in the late 1800s, the tariffs there was a blue ribbon commission that was formed here in the U.S. because they had so much, they were intaking so much money, they didn't know what to do with it. They were like, what do we do with all this money we're taking in from tariffs? Now, okay, granted, it was a simpler time, right? It was that we didn't have 340 million people. But the point of it is that the tariffs were funding it. There was no income tax. Whatever you earn is what you earned. There was none of that. It wasn't until the Federal Reserve came into play in 1913. Then soon after, income tax, right? And that's the whole taxation part of it came in. If you think about the whole reason for the Revolutionary War, the whole reason that the settlers revolted against, the king in England, was because a lot of it had to do with the taxation without representation. Here they were getting taxed. They lived in another place, in a place that wasn't as mature as, let's say, Great Britain. And here they were getting taxed to death. 3%, by the way. This is what it took to start a revolution, 3% tax. And that's the famous Tea Party, where they dumped all the tea in the bay because of the whole idea of like, why are we getting taxed? We have zero representation. We have zero voice in what happens, but we get taxed. Okay, so fast forward, and here we look at Trump when he was in office last time. He took the corporate tax from 40% down to 21%. He's also talking about taking it down to 15%. Why is this good? Because it's good for the whole infrastructure of the world, period. If we look at a healthier US, it means a healthier every other country, right? It means better trade. And it also can have some sort of influence. But when we think about decentralization, Why is this good for Ripple? A better environment, regulatory environment, is going to be good for innovation. And I think innovation has really suffered here in the U.S. And I think companies like Ripple have sort of taken a sort of a back seat only because of this lawsuit and what's happening right now. We know that XRP is not a security. Nothing changes there. The fight that Ripple's fighting right now has to do with the sale of their sale of XRP, but it has nothing to do with the programmatic sales of XRP. So as we drive a little bit further into this, they're talking about being able to drive revenue and being able to trim compliance costs, the lower transaction fees that come into play. And this is so what they're really doing. This article really kind of just builds around the offering that Ripple has, but they're getting into a little bit more detail. And I think it's a good move in good direction, because in order to attract that big audience, especially those big financial institutions, you got to have a solid sort of a strategy moving forward, and that's definitely where they're at. Let's go on here. What do you got here? Hey, what's up, Matt LaRoche representing? Man, the Aussies are in here today. Alchemist is back. What's up? 7 p.m. at a decadent wild as F Pattaya, Thailand, where 72 non-virgins, 20, 35 years wait your command. Man, look at you, Alchemist. Alchemist hasn't been in here in ever, and here he comes in with the spread. What else do we have here? Let's put this up. John Page, why don't they just cut the middleman out and make a preferred exchange, be more compliant, have more seamless system, and be your preferred spending card linked with your exchange? Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about it is the middleman is there's going to be technology, and in order to create this technology, run this technology, it's going to be very expensive. So there has to be some sort of there's always going to probably be some sort of a middleman, if that's what you're talking about, in this case being like a Ripple. But a lot of times the exchanges think about the exchanges, how they started out and where they've grown. They've offered a lot more services along the way. Some of them have been, offset by banks. Some of them have bought banks. So it's been a very interesting sort of dichotomy there. Jackie's in here. What's going on, Jackie? Good to see you. The French funded the American terrorists. The French did fund. That's absolutely right. But I don't know if we call them terrorists. That's a little bit of a hard word there. Jim D says, Chip, given any thought to the rumored case that Ripple might sell out to a huge asset corporation like BlackRock to get the clout to make XRPL go mainstream? Yeah, I've heard those rumors too. It's interesting to think about. We just had Brad Garlinghouse saying that he was just asked a similar question about if they would sell, because we had that big Stripe acquisition of a stablecoin. Trying to think of the name escapes me right now, but they just bought that platform for $1 billion, which honestly sounds like a lot of money, but quite honestly, I mean, they've only been around 2.5 years. Imagine 2.5 years selling for $1 billion. Incredible. So I don't know if it would make sense for someone like Ripple to sell out and maybe lose that sort of control. But look, anything is possible. And I think where we are today, you have to leverage all of your options, and you have to feel like what's better for the greater success. And if they felt like that was the way, and I'm not saying that you might think that a BlackRock would be the answer, but somebody like a BlackRock, it could be interesting, right? I don't know if they would be willing to, but who knows? Circumstances can change anything, right? Who knows what happens over the course of the next year, 2 years, but certainly a possibility. We love the Yetis. Mo Meta, what's up? Scotty's in here. Man, you guys are representing big time today, man. What's up, Scotty? We do love those Yetis, man. We do love those Yetis. Jim D, possible explanation as to why Ripple has and is moving forward to buying back their stock. That's also another tell sign right there. You can see what's going on when you are buying back your stock. That's another one. That's when usually in the regular world, that's a telltale sign for a PE company coming and swiping you up. In this case, it wouldn't be a PE company, but it might be a larger corporation. But although it could be because that you have to have somebody large enough. If you look at the net worth, that's a good point, Matt. If you look at the net worth, $15 billion, at least the last valuation we saw, that could have risen. Who is big enough to acquire $15 billion now? An acquisition wouldn't necessarily all have to be in cash, right? Cash, crypto, whatever you want to call it. it could, there's a clever ways to put deals together, but that's interesting to think about how that could go. Yes, that's true. Alchemist bringing that up. So R3 did a big layoff. Let a lot of the staff go months ago. I think it was late last year. And also, so R3 is not even rumored for sale. It's the story was that broke, and I was posting about it on X, was the fact that they are really they've been infusing money in that company for a long ass time. The problem is it hasn't really been profitable. So it's not necessarily a rumor, but they have to raise money. They let a lot of staff go. Look, they're running out of money. The bottom line is if they're not able to infuse capital into the organization, they're going to run out of money. And I always said it'd be funny if someone like a Ripple bought R3. Now it would have to make sense for them, right? I mean, it's open source code. Is there any value there for them? Maybe customers potentially, but you have to weigh the options. And if they get closer to running out of money, will somebody be able to pick them up for like a prayer, like almost nothing, right? It's a possibility. With all that trash talking that R3 did and suing, they were fighting in court, they're suing each other. Who knows? We could see an acquisition like a Ripple buying an R3. I don't know that it makes 100% sense, and I think it would have to be some value for Ripple other than just beating their chest saying, "Okay, we won." That's not the answer. I think what the answer is for them to be able to move forward, and how much and what would actually be, right? I mean, you'd have to assess what they would have to go out as, what their number is, what the value of the actual company is, what's the valuation on it, and what's their runway, how much runway they have left in cash that they can make it. It's interesting. We'll see. Pittsburgh, PA in the house. We need a Yeti on First Ledger. Yeah, we were thinking about, Jeff and I have been thinking about that. That would be interesting to have a Yeti on First Ledger. And it may not even be a Yeti, but it might be something cool. But I think we've been tossing it around, Charles. I've been watching that very, very Ray Run's in the house. What's up, Ray Run? Yeah, so SBI, yeah. SBI could, but that's the other thing too, is SBI has a pretty large financial stake. Who knows? I mean, SBI is the one that called off the dogs when they were fighting, said, okay, R3, you go to that corner, Ripple, you go to this corner. Stop your freaking fighting, man. They pretty much broke it up. They stepped in as like the referee. But SBI has a financial investment in that. Do they want to pour money, more money into it? I don't know. And you have to look at what the sustainability is. Like, what's their plan? If they're running out of money and they cut a lot of their staff, they're doing that to try to stay afloat. And if they don't have a lot of runway left, that means they can't raise money. If they can't raise money, then they have to put themselves up for sale, or you're buying an asset sale. Asset sale being you're not buying R3, you're just buying what's left of the organization. It might be purchasing customers, but then you have to ask yourself too, do the customers want to go along? Are the customers going to stay if you pull the customers in? There's a lot to unpack there, Matt. A lot to unpack. Another cool thing, Ripple X posted over there on X here. We have a quick node setup. So this is kind of an interesting thing too. Quick node setup for XRPL is here. Flare Networks, blockchain machine images is a node as a service solution that makes it seamless for devs. And then Flare, this is the post that they were talking about. Introducing Flare's blockchain machine images on Google Cloud Marketplace enables a rapid deployment of full nodes across 20 plus networks, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin, Ethereum. So the whole idea of running a node is it's running totally in the cloud. So you don't need hardware to operate a node. So you can just spin one up on Google Cloud Marketplace. And this is what they're saying, allowing you to do rapid deployment. So if you wanted to run it, and they're saying across 20 plus networks, XRPL is one of them. And then we have, let's see, how do blockchain images work? Click on the deploy button from the Google Cloud Marketplace listing, spin it up, sync a node of your choice and you're choosing in your environment within minutes. It also selects the latest image ID and the latest. So it's automating a lot of the procedural stuff. How does it benefit devs? Well, Flare's blockchain machine images a node as a service solution, allows you to spin it up, sync a dedicated node, will be ready within minutes. Supports more than 20 top blockchain networks. Also Polygon and Avalanche in there through a Google Cloud Marketplace. The simple process is simplified considerably. Now, with the click a button, nodes can be deployed, updated, and used for dApps, platforms, and data streams. How does it benefit businesses? Extensive infrastructure needed to rack up costs for businesses. With blockchain machine images, businesses can now have a cost-effective solution, lets them run nodes, frees up to allocate personal financial resources more effectively. So, for example, other leading blockchain node as service providers are charging up to $2,000 a month. In contrast, the new service lets users run a dedicated Flare nodes for about $300 a month. It also allows companies to do so without much maintenance or the infrastructure of relying on external services. So they cut down the cost, enormously. You think about $2,000 down to $300. It's pretty solid. Enterprises can now more easily initiate blockchain development, initiate those blockchain data. So this whole overall thing is just making it a lot easier, more cost effective, and also integrating with 20 other blockchains, which is really good. They call here too, they say within the context of the Flare ecosystem, Josh Edwards states that it'll be especially beneficial to Flare's attestation providers, and attestation providers are independent entities on Flare responsible for securely retrieving data from the external blockchain, such as Bitcoin or Ripple. Please tell me they didn't do that. Please tell me they didn't do this. They know better. But I guess Ripple, the blockchain, I didn't know Ripple had a blockchain, but I think they're talking about the XRP rather. They play a crucial role in validating and transmitting data to the Flare blockchain. Currently, blockchain machine images support more than 20. They tell you about that, but where are the damn images? Where's the whole? I don't see the entire. Let's see. Is this the same thing? Yeah. Okay. This is just the docs on how to do it. Okay. Yeah. So just making it cheaper, faster, easier. A lot of good innovation there that they're coming into here. Then I want to dive into this a little bit. And I find this incredibly fascinating and interesting here. Let me take a sip of my coffee and let's check in here. Okay. Hey, Yeti fam. What's up, Yeti fam? Let's see. Bills versus who this weekend? The Bills are playing the Seattle Seahawks this weekend. They're playing in Seattle. R3 is done. Bullish on Flare. Absolutely bullish on Flare. Flare is bound to be a powerhouse. Said it from the beginning, said it when it was introduced 3-4 years ago. I just think they're doing things right. Yeah, this is also a big Bitcoin going up is going to be huge. Get some. Yeah, I mean, it was just 50K and it hit 70 again. It's going to go to 100. The next time it presses, it's going to go to 100, 150, and people are like, I guess 50K was a bargain, right? So anybody should, I think there's probably nobody out there that's into crypto that shouldn't. There's no reason not to own Bitcoin. Let's put it that way. That's absolutely picturing that Trump GIF image. Huge. Yeah, for sure, man. This was a really incredible thread. This is CB Ventures, which is the Coinbase Ventures. That's the one that basically will go ahead and invest in the VC arm of Coinbase. But this was a really cool topic, demystifying crypto and AI stack. And so they've heard about, they were talking about this post here. You heard a lot about how crypto and AI can work together, but what does this actually look like? Today, we're releasing our predictions for the future of AI. This is another good one here, demystifying the stack. And this is kind of just like an overview of that. The convergence of crypto and efficiency, borderless nature, programmability with AI's ability to mimic human cognitive functions has the potential to transform how humans and machines interact with the digital economy. So the way I look at where we're going with this, if you take the best of AI, the best of decentralization and DeFi, we're going into another realm of taking two amazingly phenomena. If you think about it, we had the personal computer revolution back in the the 80s and 90s, and then you had the internet take off in the 90s, mid 90s, and then if you look at decentralization, Bitcoin coming into play, decentralized currency, and now with the advent of AI, now taking these two behemoths and combining them together, we're going to get almost another industry within itself. And this is what I love about what they're touching on here, is what the possibilities are. Early days, pretty, still, but having these AI agents is going to be massive. Fusing the two tech stacks together can give rise to the agentic web, a paradigm in which AI agents operating on a crypto infrastructure rails can become significant drivers of economic activity and the predominant users of applications both on-chain and off-chain. Imagine this ecosystem where you have these AI agents, right? And you can give these agents, access to your wallet, other wallets, and they're out there just doing, driving activity, driving an economy out there. And what does it look like? Well, we have to sort of wait and see for that part, but they're predicting a future where these AI agents will have their own crypto wallets to autonomously transact, access decentralized compute and data resources, on leverage stablecoins, and on their own token economy to pay humans and other agents to complete tasks necessary for their overall, let me get this here, objective function. Much the same way as Bitcoin. Think about how Bitcoin, the whole mining aspect of it, of solving a mathematical problem, and for validating transactions, getting paid. Now with AI, and now if you introduce this decentralized aspect of it, now you're opening up this whole massive new world. They say check out Coinbase Dev's AI wallets for an early example of infrastructure to power this paradigm. And one of the tests that they ran was they had, and it sounds like you're like, well, big deal. They had two AIs with hooked up to two wallets, and they both made a transaction. You're like, that doesn't seem that big a deal. It doesn't seem like that big a deal. However, it was done without any human intervention, right? The whole idea of something automating, it's not like you set something, you put the business rules. These two AI controlled wallets were able to transact together. So that's like the very first thing. It's like early days, right? It's early days of crypto, early days of AI and decentralization. So you can read more about that. So we don't believe that crypto blockchain technology is required to advance capabilities to solve emerging challenges in every layer of the AI tech stack. Rather, crypto can play a major role in bringing more distribution, verifiability. I lost my way here. Where was I here? Solve emerging challenges in every layer of the tech stack. Rather, crypto can play a major role in bringing more distribution, verifiability, censorship, resistance, and native payment rails. There you go. Interesting. Okay. While benefiting from AI mechanisms to power new users' experiences on chain. So to put it another way, so why wouldn't we want these two technology frontiers to be the best they possibly could be? Our preliminary preferred payment rail for agent to human and agent to agent commerce. Number two would be generative AI and natural language interfaces become the primary modality for users to enter. So if you can think about for the masses and simplifying transactions, the old world is you had to do all this crazy stuff. When you get somebody new into crypto, you go like, well, what do you do? Well, you get a crypto wallet. Well, what's that? And then like, what do? You go to an exchange and you register for exchange. You do KYC, AML. Well, what's that? Okay, then the next thing you got to do is you got to go over to this other platform. You got to buy this. And then what? And then you move it to the wallet, right? Imagine being able to just say that. I want to move X amount of thing. And we're talking about the generative side of it is taking that utilizing that RAG model to be able to go out there and grab whatever you're looking for and bring it back and go ahead and create a transaction. So you would say, I want to send this amount of money, blah, 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 and I want to do this. I want this much XRP and I want to buy it. Getting down to a prompting, leveraging prompting to be able to do a lot of complex tasks that are complex and what scares a lot of people off from crypto. Number three, AI will create the majority of all software code, including smart contracts, resulting in a Cambrian explosion of on-chain apps and experiences. This is really the next frontier, which is why I want to keep a really close eye on it. What's going to happen? And again, the way we think about it today may be so off, because when we thought about, even if you look at Bitcoin early days, 2009, 2010, a lot of naysayers were like, this is dumb. This is worth nothing. It doesn't not backed by anything. It doesn't mean anything. Nobody controls it. Nobody owns it. When decentralization first came out, the concept of decentralization is a hard one to grasp because there hasn't really ever been something that was that didn't require some kind of control of a human, of a person, right? Whereas the Bitcoin blockchain proved, and Satoshi Nakamoto proved that, yeah, you don't need a middleman. There's nobody. There's nobody in it's totally decentralized. So that's kind of where we're heading with this. The intersection of crypto and AI can be broken down into two core subsegments. Decentralized AI, that's building generic AI infrastructure and inherent properties of modern peer-to-peer blockchain networks, transparency, verification, blah, blah, blah. And then secondly, the on-chain AI, that's building crypto infrastructure and apps that leverage AI models to power new and existing use cases. And those use cases yet to be determined. The quest to integrate crypto into AI into crypto has given rise to a burgeoning yet complex landscape, rapidly evolving with many builders rushing to capitalize on the momentum. Just look at this. This is insane. This is where we are today. This isn't like this is everybody that is, you got data marketplaces, storage, data labeling, you got resource coordination networks, AI companions in there. And probably if you look at this list right here, do you recognize any of these on here? I'll just give you a second to look at them. Any names pop out at you at all? Or are these all new? I mean, I recognize a few of the names on here, but quite honestly, a lot of them are just names I've never run across before. And even making this list and categorizing it is incredible. If you look at this, agentic networks and platforms, look at all these. I don't recognize one of these here. Skyfire is the only one I recognize, because that's the that's an X Rippler with Skyfire, which is a payment AI, which is cool as hell. And we got to talk more about that. I think that's a very cool technology. Today, we believe that crypto AI stack can be segmented into the following: computing networks focused on the latest latent GPU compute resources, data networks that enable decentralized access, orchestration, middleware. These are network platforms that enable the development and deployment of hosting, orchestration of AI models and agents, and then applications. These are user-facing products, whether it's B2B or B2C, that leverage open or on-chain AI mechanisms. So I thought this is a fascinating thing. This is where we're going. It's a real high level on what this is, but I think that this is really, I would pay attention to this, of what's going on in the in this AI realm, because it's as it evolves, it's going to be a powerhouse. And when you get in, or when you're able to leverage that, all I see is strengthening what we're currently doing today, making it easier and more palatable for the end user, for us, and those newbies coming into crypto too. It's a lot easier if you can tell it what to do than and doing prompts or apps that leverage natural language than it is today, where you're like, oh, you click this, you click that. Oh, is there a tutorial? Yeah, just watch this YouTube video. Okay, and you're halfway through and you're like, your eyes glaze over and you're like, making it more simple and easier for the masses, something Jeff and I talk about all the time. You have to make it easier for the masses, which is why I always like the idea of a bank having custody of crypto, right? Especially if it was to become FDI insured. Why wouldn't you want your bank to hold it? I get it. It's a centralized entity. Your best bet is always to have a cold storage wallet, right? I'm not going away from that opinion, but I'm talking about masses. Masses are not all going to do that. It'd be great if they could figure out how to do a cold storage wallet, move crypto, but to have it at their bank, to be able to even purchase it and have a bank work almost like an exchange where they make a little bit of money on it, comes another revenue source for a bank. As we get there, it opens up to the masses, because you don't have to teach an old dog a new trick. They already know how to use a bank. That's not even a problem at all. So that's kind of all I had in the realm of the on the crypto front there. I did want to kind of like go a little bit over into the let me go to the chat here. Let's see what we've got in the chats. AI will replace us all except for the Thai ladies. They will be last. Okay. Shocked how many altcoiners don't hold any. That is, they've been funded out. Well, yeah, some of them have. And he's talking about Bitcoin, of course. Bitcoin, yep, right. Bitcoin and AI equals go fishing. That's right. There you go. Legendary knows. Absolutely. Agree with that wholeheartedly. So we are just days from the election, and it's getting wild. I mean, I did watch. Trump was on Rogan, 3 hours long. I watched the first hour and 20 minutes of it. It's just conversations, two guys talking. Rogan's good because Rogan wants to get in, and if he doesn't feel like something's answered, he keeps going for like, hey, what was this like? And I think it's a different flavor of some of the stuff we've heard. And I also think with Trump too, it's just good to just hear him off the cuff. There's no predetermined questions. He didn't say like, oh, you can only ask me this. One of the big point of contentions for the Harris campaign was they were going to give Rogan a bunch of questions he couldn't ask her. He's not going to agree to that. And where Trump just walked in there, open book, good, bad, ugly, ask him whatever, and he's going to answer the question. So that's what you want. But do you honestly think Harris could sit down for a 3-hour interview? Do you think she could make it through 30 minutes with unburdening what has been burden of what has been? I mean, honestly, I personally don't see it. I mean, and I almost feel like a guy like Donald Trump is like 78 years old. He starts at 7 a.m. He goes and does Rogan 3 hours. He goes and does another couple interviews. Then he flies up to Traverse City, Michigan. And Traverse City is I've been to Traverse City a couple times, and it's at the top of Michigan there. If you take the hand and you have that over there, it's like right up in there, that area. And it's right on the lake there. It's really cool, kind of in the summertime, a lot of people go to Traverse City, but it's a cool little place. And he drew a crazy audience. Now, the left was all going like, well, here was the Harris campaign. Every seat was filled, and he wasn't 3 hours late. Well, he was late because of some of the things he was trying to fit in there and do, but he didn't want to cancel it, and he wanted to stay true, and he wanted to actually go and be there. So there you go. Let's read this here. Northeast says, reading a post from FSB yesterday, report on the IMF worldwide crypto framework will be complete by 2026. Then C. Gensler represents the U.S. and FSB. What? That seems weird. Harris could have done it with an open bar. There you go. It's so funny. It's like if there's a Beyonce, it's almost like a political candidate appeared during a Beyonce concert. Like Beyonce's playing, like it's open, it's free. Like how are you not going to attract a massive crowd? Trump attracts a massive crowd. He doesn't need any performers there. I mean, some people show up, but they're not overly, they're not performing. So if you have a free concert, Beyonce's playing, and then Harris, a political campaign speech breaks out in the middle of it, that's pretty much how you could describe what that is. So they're like, look at the amount of people that went. There was so many people. I'm like, well, of course there was. I mean, who doesn't want to go see Beyonce? I'm not a huge fan, but I mean, the masses are going to definitely go see Beyonce, right? So I find that to be a little bit, it's a little bit of bait and switch there. You get it like, let's go see that. Well, one of the things that happened is, I'm trying to pull this one clip here. Where is it when I'm looking for it? My goodness. Here it is. So this is a clip from yesterday, or from the Beyonce concert / Harris rally. And a bunch of people started booing her, started chanting Trump and stuff. So this is a little bit clip from that. They're doing her just laugh. She doesn't know what to do for her. Just laugh and cackle and I mean, look, obviously if people start booing and start hissing and start yelling to better his name, she's gotten sort of like almost angry, right? And it's happened to Trump too. You got to deal with the hecklers. Look, I mean, on both sides, you got to deal with the hecklers, but I just found it crazy that she just sat there and laughed, and it almost feels like she's got this nervous tick where if something real serious happens, that nervous laughter some people get. If you know somebody like this, and even I've been in scenarios where something's really serious, or it's like it's almost aggressive, and you kind of like smile or laugh about it. I mean, it's like, it seems like a weird sort of a position, but this is her with everything. She can't answer any of the questions. She doesn't know what's going on half of the time for almost anything. So I find it to be a real bizarro. He says he's not kidding. Gensler is the U.S. representative on Financial Stability Board, which is working with IMF and BIS and creating crypto framework. 100% accurate. Well, that makes zero sense. Well, the problem with the IMF is it's an unelected bunch of bureaucrats that have zero bearing, and I don't really give a crap what they think or what they do, because they're never going to have any like standing or pull on the U.S. But they're like these nut jobs running around trying to inflict their bull crap on everybody else. I mean, nobody needs it, man. So who really cares? Yeah, 2 more weeks of the clown show. Yeah, but we're not going to have a winner on election night. That's happening. Crypto Whelp is in here. Good, man. Good to see you in here. I know that you haven't been able to join us during the week because so your schedule changed, but appreciate you jumping in here, Crypto Whelp. Belgium out. He's out. Smash the thumbs up. There you go. Beautiful. Guys, take a second and smash that up. Smash, smash, smash. Fred Rispoli still says no XRP resolution moon till 2026. First of all, what Ripple does has nothing to do with XRP. XRP is not a security, done, over with. Whatever happens to the centralized company Ripple, God bless them. I hope the best for them. I think they're going to embarrass the SEC, but I don't really care about it too much, and I don't pay too much attention to it because it has no bearing. Now, people are going to be like, well, it can't move. That case is going to end and nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. Nothing. What does it matter what private fight they have? I don't see anything coming out of that except another humiliation for the SEC. So regardless of that, and then of course SEC is slow walking it. But I'll tell you what changes it. What changes it is Trump. Trump said he'll fire Gensler day one. Fires day one. Forget about what Fred Rispoli is saying, because Fred's talking about how it looks today. I'm saying that if Trump gets in, he says he'll fire him on day one. We all know that's not possible. You'd have to pass the SEC Stabilization Act that Tom Emmer authored, which basically removes the SEC chair position. That's how you fire him. You pass it in the House, get it through the Senate, Trump signs it, Gensler's gone. What else is gone? Lawsuit, gone. That's how you end it. But meanwhile, Chris Larson's donating $5 million or 10 million XRP to Harris. Why? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know why you would vote for your own demise, but a lot of people are into this. They want to vote for leftists who want to restrict freedom, who want to censor them, who don't believe in decentralization. If you have an ideology that believes in centralized control, are you shocked that they don't believe in crypto that's decentralized? I mean, it's not that hard to understand, people. It's like those two things are not like each other, right? So if you are all into censorship, you want to control the narrative, you want to control people, a centralized control, and all of a sudden you're going to like embrace a decentralized, sort of a mindset, a decentralization, which ultimately would be your demise. No, not going to happen. That's why that's why Jeff and I are always like, there's no way. Those two things are not compatible. So I don't ever see, if you're going to switch on one, a lot of lip service. Yeah, we're thinking about doing a reset. Okay. Well, I don't see, actions what speaks louder than words. You're the current VP. Go ahead. Call for Gary Gensler's firing. Announce that you're stopping Choke Point 2.0. Stop it. Just that. Nothing. It's all BS. That's what it is. All BS in a nutshell there. All right. What else do we have up here? So Mark Cuban was on, and he was on, Mark Cuban's been sort of like the surrogate for the Harris campaign. This is one guy who's done a lot of good stuff, has had a lot of success in his world. And what I don't understand is how he, I just don't understand what he sees. He wants to see all these things. And when he talks about Kamala Harris, all he talks about is like what he wants to see. None of that stuff actually happens. So I don't know what he's looking at or what glasses he's wearing. He's wearing Rachel Maddow glasses this week, but here's Scott Jennings on here on CNN. But let's watch this clip. I want to get your reaction on this one. Here we go.
Works, and honestly, he's more popular now than he's ever been. His administration is more popular than it's ever been. Look where he came from when he left office to right now. There's one reason why he's more popular today than he's ever been, because people are comparing it to what they've got now, and they're saying, I want to go back.
And yet it's a dead heat against somebody who's only been in the race 13 weeks.
Well, you act as though she just landed here on a spacecraft 13 weeks ago. She's been the vice president for an entire term.
But
she was in the United States Senate. She did not show up here 13 weeks ago. She has a record as vice president, and I think what's hurting your campaign is that she also has a record when she ran for president. And she said a lot of things that have come back to haunt her.
That's a different world. I mean, I can go back 10 years when Donald Trump said he wanted to tax oil companies out of existence. You can talk about Section 230. You can talk about Bitcoin. You can talk about abortion. There's a long list of things that Donald Trump has flip-flopped on.
But he was the president, and he has a record, and she was the vice president, and she has a record.
Yeah, but what kind of record? But you know that whole comparison isn't legit, because the vice president doesn't do anything. What did Mike Pence do?
Well, I disagree. I actually think she has been the most consequential vice president when you consider the responsibilities that she was given, when you consider that Joe Biden has said she was there every step of the way. And finally, she cast more tie-breaking votes than any other vice president. She cast
the votes.
Well, that's
because the Senate, because of the nature of the Senate, had nothing to do with her being special. You know, that's just the job.
She cast the most consequential.
He's right. So yeah, the vote that she did pass, which was that Inflation Act, which was a disaster, right? Yeah, and she's been there. She said she would do nothing different. She said she would be the same as Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden, she would be the same as Joe Biden, no matter what. And she's had multiple chances to correct that. It's like, if you're going to do the same thing, then what are we expecting here? You're just gaslighting everybody here. That's all it's doing. Yeah. I think first of all, the first ledger, hottest thing in crypto right now. I don't know if it's hotter in crypto. I think on the XRPL, yeah, the volume's incredible. It's an interesting, I think what it's doing is it's the AMM. It's bringing users. It's onboarding people. It's getting people excited again. And I think I think ultimately it's probably going to be pretty good for the ecosystem. Although I'd caution a little bit about some of these meme coins, but it's great to see people taking 100 XRP and turning it into 200 XRP. So if your value is not going up and you have the chance to go ahead and increase your value, and you got a chance, and it's fun. I think it's going to evolve, and I think where it's starting isn't where it's going to end up. But I think the idea behind First Ledger and where it can go is going to be pretty incredible. So I think it's the beginning of something really good. And it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves. But I think too, you get a little bit of caution there too. But again, it's made the XRPL fun again. It's made it, there's been excitement around it. There's been a lot of volume, which is incredible. The volume is insane to sit there and watch that. So I just say, I'm cautiously watching it, but ultimately I think it's a good thing. I had a conversation with Blockchain Backer about it, and he sort of turned me around on my thinking about that, about how he thought it was driving a lot of value and excitement around there. So I kind of came around a little bit, but I also think too that you got to be a little bit cautious with anything you do. But again, there hasn't been a lot of excitement around anything XRPL. So in that case, I do think it is a good, it's a good thing. Okay. I'm just looking through the comments here to see what we got here. If we got anything else. Okay, he says, guys, your reasoning is totally off. You're being taken advantage by a series of fallacious reasoning, equivocation being the most harmful. Yeah, you could say that. You need to ask yourself, what scenario do you see institutions coming to retail exchanges to buy their XRP? That's the only way retail can make money off it outside other speculators. It's a good point. It's a good point right there. But I don't know that that's the only way, but I think if you think about institutions going to retail, but of course, you got to really see what happens to if Ripple went ahead and release what they are questioning and this. So I think that they're reintroducing the Howey test, they're reintroducing fair notice in another setting. I do think that it could change. And again, I do think that Ripple is going to be able to, with their attorneys, is going to be able to lay down some pretty good arguments, especially the way they're leveraging the Howey test. I just feel like Ripple's probably going to be the big winner against the SEC. So what we see today may not be what it is. And of course, legislation will change all that. We're looking at it from our perspective in 2024. Let's suppose Trump is the next president, gets in, everything changes, right? We get legislation, all this stuff comes to an end, that lawsuit goes away. We get clear rules of the road. And I think that's what's really going to happen. So I think that right now, there's just too much up in the air to be to know too much. This one here, this one was good. This was I honestly don't even know at some point where we are as a society when somebody just nonsense, and everyone's like, oh yeah, that was interesting. Okay, good, yeah. Or people have their own assessment. You hear the right go like, what? And then the left's like, oh, that was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I don't know, man. We're really scared for our society. This is a good take, interesting take here.
One of the things that I love about the American people is we can hold many thoughts at once.
Okay. This is a former attorney general for 13 years, California. This is a former U.S. senator. This is a VP, vice president for 3.5+ years. And what she loves about the American people is they can hold many thoughts at once. Why is one of the dumbest humans running for president? Please tell me, what is she talking about? I mean, Trump said a lot of dumb things. Trump's made a lot of dumb mistakes. It's like there's so many. And if you think about Biden, yeah, Biden was a loudmouth back when he was, sane, back when he was, with it. Okay, so he's gotten old and feeble, and he's sort of lost his mind. I get it. It'll happen to all of us at some point. It's happened to great people. They get older, just a little bit off their game. But what's her excuse? She's 60 years old, right? Tim Walz, 60 years old. This woman's 60 years old. I'm 60 years old. Okay, you just like, what's the contrast between her? Look at her. I mean, she does look like she's about 25 years younger than Tim Walz. I'll give her that, right? But what is a woman who's 60 years old who talks in nonsensical word salads? I mean, what in the hell is going on, man? Well, let's listen in a little bit more here. Let's hear the take.
What the fuck are you actually doing? I'm so sick of this bitch. You guys don't understand what I have to go through. What the fuck is she doing with her face? What are you doing with your face? What are you doing? I can't stand this woman. You can hold many thoughts at once. Who's we?
Who's we? This is she's famous for doing great Kamala Harris impressions, but that was a good question. Like, who's we? We can hold many thoughts. No, we cannot hold many thoughts. Anyway, I thought that was funny. We are Legion. Yeah, we are Legion. Deaton is the only race I care about. Yeah, well, it's one of the races I care about, him and Trump. That's the two races I care about. And if the people of Massachusetts can redeem themselves, John Deaton's like really the only choice, quite honestly. I mean, but I don't know. I think he's picking up a lot of steam, and I think he crushed both of those debates. If those people watch those debates, how can you not say John Deaton? I mean, I've never seen better debate performances by anyone. I don't care who it is. I don't think I've ever seen better debate performances. He had her on the ropes, asked her hard-hitting questions, pressed her for answers, made her look like a complete jerk. And she kind of lost it a little bit. She had nothing at some point. So I just thought I was just incredibly just impressed. John Deaton brought it home in a big way. He's still, I don't know anybody's gonna be able to beat those debate performances, quite honestly. Every once in a while you see a video too. I saw this guy, and you might see a lot of his anger, but if you listen to what he says, I think that's like we're all at. Like, he's asking a lot of interesting questions, but I'm gonna throw it up there. I'm gonna get some F-bombs dropped in here, and there's some little bit of anger, but I think it's worth watching.
at this damn point, this a full-fledged comedy fucking movie. Your vice president just got on live television yesterday and said even though she's been studying and debating all this motherfucking time and she's been in office all this fucking time, she still gotta go study the goddamn policies again before she give you a direct answer. Before she ever tell you anything, she gotta go study that shit again while she fucking in office. You can't make this cartoon-ass movie shit up. You can't make this shit up. This bitch is retarded. She don't answer questions. Every last one of y'all that's following this bitch is retarded. And they're gonna keep going gaslight you, talk about the lesser of two evils. Well, the lesser of two can fucking complete a fucking sentence. Can answer one fucking question. One. I'm asking for one fucking answer to anything. This bitch go all the way around. All we know about is she was a middle-class fucking child, and we did it, Joe. That's all the fuck we know about this bitch.
Damn, brought it home, man. That was like a lot. It's all he knows. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I mean, you know, just answer the one question, right? I mean, he's onto something there. I definitely think there's something there. Frothing morons. That wasn't a frothing moron. That was a guy laying down truth bombs there, son. It's a circus show mocking a constitutional republic, being filmed by peers and is incompetent as their voters. Yeah. This is the whole thing, is that the left doesn't want a constitutional republic. They talk about democracy because they want mob rule. They want to abolish the electoral college, right? They want to eliminate the minority voice. They want mob rule. They want, you know, is it any wonder that all the dictatorships start out as democracy, right? They all start out as democracy. Yeah, will of the people, yay. You know, we're lucky in the sense that we're governed by a constitution where the framers of the country try to think about how all the ways that it might go off the rails. And, you know, did they get it right? Not perfect, but still, if you compare it to any other constitution of any other government, they're written by the government. This was one of the few that was written by the people. And it took a little bit of a knockdown, drag out fight to sort of ratify it, you know, across the board. So it didn't happen overnight. So I wanted to put this guy on. He's a Holocaust survivor, and he takes a little bit of issue with what's been going on here. Let's listen in.
94 years old and survivor of Auschwitz and the death marches. Adolf Hitler invaded Poland when I was 9 years old. He murdered my parents and most of our family. I know more about Hitler than Kamala will ever know in 1,000 lifetimes. For her to accuse President Trump of being like Hitler is the worst thing I've ever heard in my 75 years living in the United States. I know President Trump, and he would never say this, and Kamala Harris knows this. She owes my parents and everybody else who was murdered by Hitler an apology for repeating this lie.
Why should the Jewish people support President Trump?
Because he's a mensch. I believe that President Trump is definitely going to be good for Israel, because in everything that he's done up to now was in favor. He never double-crossed anyone, and he never showed any weakness. Watching President Trump pray for the hostages at the Ohel and spend time with him so meaningful. He has always stood with the Jewish people and the state of Israel.
And there you have it. There's somebody who was, you know, whole family was murdered, right? And this whole thing about we throw away things we don't like, you're Hitler, you're this and that, you're a fascist. I mean, it's gotten out of hand. It's a way overly emotional response, because you can't compete in the idea of arena of ideas. If you can compete in the arena of ideas, well, then we'll have actual debates. We'll talk about policy issues and why we think our policy is better. When you start name calling people, just like, you know, you're a fascist and you're a dictator, and well, I'm sorry, that's weird. Trump was president for 4 years. He left office, and like January 6th. Oh yeah, okay, sure. Go home peacefully, it's march peacefully and everything else. And then you had feds there, and it was the whole thing. You didn't have the Nancy Pelosi didn't have the troops. Big setup, man. Walked right into it, but a big setup. There you have it. Unfortunately, that's what it ended up being. And let's see. I think I got one or two other clips here to play before we get out of here. Just another good ad I saw. And it sort of highlights Harris as some of the things, her so-called record, another record as Attorney General she doesn't have to run on. But this is a good one as well. Let's do this. Watch
Dear
this.
Kamala Harris, let's get one thing crystal clear. The vast majority of American men have no issue with electing a female president. Our issue lies solely with you. You were second in charge of California for 13 years.
As California's Attorney General, Harris promoted enforcement of a law that allowed prosecutors to seek jail time for parents of truant kids.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, how can you lock parents up?
If you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
I opened the door and I see at least 7 or 8 cops wanted to arrest me. As a matter of fact, they did.
And frankly, the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this? My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
She had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. That person could be arrested. They could lose time from work and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community.
I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted.
Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
All because of the swipe of my pen.
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
You were second in charge of the United States for 4 years.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years.
A record high number of illegal crossings.
Crime's been surging across the nation.
Huge spikes in homicides.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
After 17 years of failed leadership, you are now asking us to trust you as first in charge of our country.
I am concerned and focused on big issues. Elementary and middle school truancy is actually a big issue. If we're trying to save the state money, because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
My message to all Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
As men and protectors of women and children, you are simply a risk we are not willing to take.
Paid for by Maha Alliance and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
There you go. Maha, that's RFK Jr., but I think it's a super PAC around that. But he's the one that came up with the Make America Healthy Again, which I think he definitely will do, which I'm excited about. And I would ask you to, or at least take a look at the Joe Rogan Trump one. It's an interesting thing. I don't know if you get through all 3 hours, but I think it's interesting on a lot of fronts, for sure. But it's a good one. This one's a little lighthearted here, but this is Trump's grandkids here. This is kind of a fun little. It's just a lighthearted clip.
Grandpa was eating McDonald's.
Was he eating it? What else was he doing at McDonald's?
Cooking. No,
he cooked at McDonald's?
Yeah, he cooked fries and then the people ate it on TV.
Do you think he did a good job cooking food at McDonald's?
Yeah, look there.
Oh, there he is. There's Grandpa. Does it look like it's delicious?
Yes.
Would you eat Grandpa's fries?
Yes.
Absolutely. Go, Grandpa.
Super cute, right? Go grandpa. I love that. That's fun. Yeah, booms is just wow. This is, I don't know what you're wowing at, but there you go. But it's Crypto-A's here. There you go. Snagged a bag of drop after it dropped on First Ledger, made 4,000x so far in climbing. Meme coin going fishing. There you go. There you have it. Let's see what else we have here. I think that was it. I think there was I believe that was it today for what I'm looking through. I thought we missed one, but no. We got them all. Yeah, we did get them all. We did get them all. Yep, that's every bit of it. And we did it in record time too. We're just 5 minutes over, which is not bad. Not bad at all. So I want to thank everybody for coming in here. Jeff is back in the hot seat tomorrow night. I've done 8 shows without him. And it's way more fun doing it with Jeff. So I'm looking forward to him coming back rested, relaxed, and ready to fire it up again tomorrow night. So he will be back here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Come on back here, and we will do the show together for the first 1 and 8 shows. So tomorrow will be the 9th one. Thank God he's coming back, which would be great. Thank you and good night. Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. We will see you on the next one. Chip. Wait a minute. Where's my stuff here? Here we go. Chip out. To see you guys tomorrow night. Back with Jeff. See you guys.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.